Okay, so what we're going to look at today is converting between kilometres and miles. Okay, now all the work we've done on measures of distance before have involved millimetres, centimetres, metres and kilometres. Okay, these are all called the metric units of length. Okay, but for some things, mainly their distances on roads, and when we talk about going for walks and things, we talk about miles. Okay, and these are part of what's called the imperial measures. So we also use inches, feet and yards, and then miles is the longest one. Okay, and it's not just distance, miles, that we use. We often talk about feet and inches when we're talking about people's height as well. Okay, so it's a bit strange in this country that we kind of swap between both metric and imperial measures. Now, all we need to do when it comes to measuring distance and converting between the two different scales is being able to convert between miles and kilometres. Okay, so higher up at high school you'll learn how to do the other ones, but at this stage in year 6 you just need to have an understanding of the relationship between miles and kilometres. So to begin with, we're just going to do a couple of quick division exercises. Okay, and these will help you when it comes to doing your conversions later on, and you should be able to figure out why. Okay, so the first one we're going to look at is a quick way to divide your numbers by 5. Okay, now I know most of you would be able to do this quite quickly, whether in your head or using a bus stop, but this is just another quick method that makes it slightly easier for you. So to help you divide by 5, one way you can do it is actually to divide the number by 10 and then double the answer. Okay, so when we divide by 10, our numbers move one place to the right, and then all you have to do is double your answer. Okay, because you need twice as many 5s as you would 10s. Okay, because 5 is half of 10. So for example, in that first one, we've got 300 divided by 5. So I divide that by 10, it gets me to 30. I double that, and it gets me to 60. Okay, the second one going across, so 105 divided by 5. If I divide it by 10, it's 10.5. I double that, it gets me to 21. Okay, so I'll leave those other 6 blank for you, and if you want to have a quick go at those now, then pause the video and then I'll come back and I'll give you the answers. Okay, so if you want to pause it, then do that now. Okay, so I'll quickly go through the rest of these answers for you. So you should have 36. Okay, 450 would be 45, and then double it is 90. 80 would be 16, 355 would get you an answer of 71, 125 divided by 5 would be 25, and 122 divided by 5 is 24.4. Okay, so that's quite a good method for dividing by 5. Divide by 10 and then double your answer. Okay. The other one we're going to look at is dividing by 8. Now we know that when we divide by 2, we half it. Divide by 4, we half and we half again. To divide by 8, we can half, half, and then half it again. So half it 3 times. Okay. So again, I'll do the first 2 examples, and then I'll pause the video for you to have a go at the other 6. So that first one there, nice easy one. 200 halved would be 100. Halved would be 50. Halved again would give you your answer of 25. Going across to the next one, 128 halved would be 64, half it again would be 32, and then finally half it once more would get you to 16. Okay, so that's a really quick way to help with your division. Okay, so again, I'll leave the rest of those 6 blank, and if you want to pause the video and have a go at quickly doing them using that method, then pause the video now. Okay, so we'll go through these answers for you then. So 120 would be 60, 30, and then 15. Okay, 288, half it again would get you down to 36. 88 is a nice simple one, 44, 22, and then 11. 320 would get you down to 40. 168 divided by 8 is 21. 100 divided by 8 would go into your decimals, but it's quite straightforward. So it would go 50, 25, and then 12.5. Okay, so you might want to use that method when you're doing your division. Okay, so like I said earlier, we mainly use miles in this country when we talk about distances. Okay, but in lots of other countries, kilometres are used, and that's why we need to have an understanding of how they relate to each other. Okay, so the little question there says, which do you think is farther, a mile or a kilometre? Okay, so we know a kilometre is 1,000 metres. A mile is actually further. Okay, so a mile is roughly 1,600 metres. So 600 metres more than a kilometre. Okay, but today the only conversion that we're actually going to look at is the fact that 5 miles is approximately 8 kilometres. Now you can see our equal sign there isn't a straight equal sign, and there's a reason for that, because it's not exactly the same, but it's close enough. Okay, so that wiggly equal sign just means approximately equal to. Okay, so it's not exact, but that's the fact that we're going to use today. Okay, so 5 miles is 8 kilometres, 10 miles would be 2 lots of 8 would be 16, 15 miles would be 24. Okay, so that's the only fact that we're going to use today. So, how then do we go around converting miles to kilometres? All we need to do is use that little formula that's on the screen. Okay, so it says the miles divided by 5 times 8 equals the number of kilometres. Okay, now how that works is that in this example we've got 85 miles. So to work out how many kilometres there are, the first thing you need to do is to work out how many lots of 5 miles there are in 85. Okay, so to do that I divide by 5, so there's 17. So there's 17 lots of 5 miles in 85 miles. Okay, but then to convert that into kilometres, I need to multiply that answer by 8 to give me 136. So 85 miles is approximately 136 kilometres. Okay. So on the screen there you can see 4 different ways that to explain how to convert it, but only one of them is correct. Okay, so we divide the miles measurement by 8 and multiply it by 5? Do we divide the miles measurement by 8 then multiply by 8? Do we divide the miles measurement by 5 then multiply by 8? Or do we divide the miles measurement by 5 and then multiply by 5? Okay, hopefully you have all picked the third one. Okay, you divide the miles measurement by 5 and then multiply by 8. So like I said a lot this year, there's no new maths really, it's just understanding what you actually need to do. Okay, so have a go at doing these conversions here. Okay, you've got your rule over at the side, divide the number of miles by 5, then multiply by 8. And the first one has been done for you. So 100 divided by 5 is 20, 20 times 8 is 160, so it's 160 kilometres. Okay, so it's quite a good way of setting it out. So if you want to have a go at the rest of those 4 now, if you need to do your bust up for your division and everything, then that's fine. Okay, or you can use the methods that we did look at earlier, it's up to you. Okay, so pause the video now and have a quick go at doing these 4 conversions, and then I'll go through the answers. Okay, so we'll go through these 4 answers then. So 75 divided by 5 is 15. So there's 15 lots of 5 miles in 75. I multiply that by 8 and it gives me an answer of 120. Okay. 135 divided by 5 is 27. Okay, 27 times 8 is 216. You can see it's just this rule every single time. Divide the number of miles by 5 and then multiply by 8. 200 divided by 5 is 40. 40 times 8 is 320. And finally, 95 divided by 5 is 19. 19 times 8 is 152. Okay. Now, sometimes you might go into your decimals. Okay, so you might need to do your bus stop to 1 decimal place. Okay, so you would put, in this example, if you're doing a bus stop, you'd put 89.0 divided by 5. Okay, so if it goes to a decimal number, just take care with your division and your multiplication. Okay, so I'll do this first one and then have a go at the next two on your own. So for example, 36 divided by 5, okay, would give me 7.2, and then I'd need to do 7.2 times 8, which would give me 57.6 kilometres. Okay, so you know it's not going to be divisible by 5 if it doesn't end in a 5 or a 0. Okay, so then you might want to use your bus stop to do your division to get it to the decimal places. Okay, so again, if you want to have a go at these two on the screen, pause the video now and then I'll go through the answers when we come back. So for 122 miles, okay, if you divide that by 5 you should have 24.4, multiply that by 8 and it's 195.2 kilometres, and then 74 divided by 5 should get you 14.8, multiplied by 8 is 118.4 kilometres. Okay. Now, how then do we convert the other way from kilometres to miles? Okay, it's just the opposite, the inverse of what we've been doing. Okay, so first of all this time we need to divide by 8. We need to find out how many lots of 8 kilometres there are. Okay, and then we multiply it by 5. Okay, so it's the opposite. So if we were to do it for 88 kilometres, we would want to work out how many lots of 8 kilometres there are. So we divide 88 by 8, which is 11. And then to convert that to miles, I know 8 miles is 5 kilometres. So 11 times 5 would get me to 55. Okay. So again, I'll do the first one with you and then see if you can do the next two. If you're not sure, remember we've got the rule down here again. Okay, so 96 kilometres divided by 8, okay, gets us to 12. You should know that from your tables. Multiplied by 5 will get me 60. Okay, so 96 kilometres is roughly 60 miles. So pause the video again, have a go at those bottom two, and then come back when you're ready for the answers. 208 kilometres then. So we're going to divide that by 8, which gives us an answer of 26. Multiply that by 5 is 130 miles. And then the bottom one, 168 divided by 8 is 21. 21 multiplied by 5 is 105. Again, sometimes you will have to go to your decimals, okay, and again, if it doesn't divide evenly, make sure you put 84.0 when you do your bus stop. Okay, so 84 divided by 8 is 10.5, and then 10.5 times times 5 is 52.5. Okay, so again, pause the video, have a go at these two, and then come back when you're ready for the answers. Okay, so 108 divided by 8 then gives us 13.5. We multiply that by 5, and it's 67.5 miles. And then the bottom one, 300 divided by 8 is 37.5. 37.5 times 5 is 187.5. Okay, so you need to remember those two rules. So for kilometres to miles, we divide the number of kilometres by 8 and then multiply by 5. For miles to kilometres, you divide by 5 and multiply by 8. Okay, so just a little challenge for you to have a go at then. So Patrick has taken part in a cycling race. Here are the distances of the first 5 stages of the race. So stage 1, 122 miles, stage 2, 55 kilometres, stage 3, 104 miles, stage 4, 197 kilometres, stage 5, 94 miles. Okay, I want you to see if you can work out if these first 5 stages all together cover more than 800 kilometres. Okay, so some of your stages are already in kilometres, but you can see there's 3 that aren't. Okay, so how are you going to convert those into your kilometres? Okay, so have a go at that challenge and then see if you can give me your answers. Okay, so do the first 5 stages cover more than 800 kilometres? Okay, if you get that done, what you can then do for me is to convert that distance back into miles for me. Okay, so how far did the 5 stages cover in miles in total? And see if you can work that one out for me as well. Okay, right, so have a go at that, and then I'll come back and I'll go through the answers with you. So there's a couple of ways you could do this one. You could work out all the miles together. So you could add together the miles measurements. So you've got 122 add 104 add 94, which will get you 320 miles. Okay, now remember, to convert the miles to kilometres, we need to divide it by 5 and then multiply by 8. Okay, so 320 divided by 10 is 32, divided by 5, double that, sorry, is 64 when we divide it by 5. So then 64 times 8 is 512 kilometres. Okay, I then obviously need to add on the kilometres I've got, and that will get me to 764 kilometres, which is less than 800. Okay, you may have also have worked out the miles measurements individually in kilometres, and that's fine, it's entirely up to you. Okay, now here are the distances of the last 5 stages of the race. Okay, do the last 5 stages cover more than 800 kilometres? Okay, so you're going to be doing the same thing, but this time for the last 5 stages. Okay, so again, pause the video here and you'll need to convert all your miles measurements into kilometres. Okay, and then come back when you want the answers. So if you've done it the same way that we did it last time, you've added all your miles together, you would have 250 miles. Okay, so to convert that into kilometres, I need to divide by 5. So divided by 10 is 25, doubled it is 50, and then 50 times 8 gets me to my 400 kilometres. Okay, so all my miles add up to 400 kilometres. I've then got to add on my kilometre stages, which gives me a total of 802 kilometres. So in this example, the 5 stages do cover more than 800 kilometres. Okay, right. I hope you got on all right with that. Like I said, it's all you need to do is really remember those 2 rules. So you could jot the rules down so you know which ones to do, whether you're going from miles to kilometres or kilometres to miles. Okay, so I hope you got on all right with that as a little introduction, and then we'll do a little bit more probably next week on this as well. Okay, right, thank you for watching and I'll see you soon.